let's see here. Kids are back in school next week. Chargers preseason football kicks off this weekend, and IG5OI is back from summer break. I'd say everything is coming up roses. What's going on, folks? I missed you. But it's not like I haven't been around. Been kicking it with Jamie and Garrett on the channel elsewhere, talking any and everything Chargers where necessary. But now we're getting back into the regulatory flow of things, and I couldn't be happier about it. So without further ado, let's hop into this new 2023 first edition, first episode of I Got 5 on it. And let's roll. Right out of the gate with it, because I don't like what I've been seeing, and I want to address it. Number one, RESPECTJP. Put some freaking respect on Joshua Palmer's name. Lest we forget exactly what that man meant to this offense last season. He's practically an unsung hero when you're looking at Mike Williams being down for multiple weeks, Keenan missing, 8+ weeks. All JP did was step into a number one role on multiple occasions and lead wide receivers in receptions with 72. Clearly he was prepared for it. Was it perfect? Nah, but it wasn't something that he was expecting, but he obviously prepared for the opportunity. And I get it. Quentin Johnston is the name that most fans care about, and you should. It's a huge deal. I'm looking forward to what the kid can produce as well, but I don't think it should just be assumed that he's going to be the guy over Palmer. I say they work more in tandem, probably split reps. They'll see the field at the same time on multiple occasions in this offense, but I don't think you should just be pushing Palmer to the wayside, especially if you've been watching his performance in training camp. Almost every practice, there's some sort of crazy catch. He's routing somebody up, showing just superior hands. He's improving as a player overall. And one of the things that I like the most about him coming out of Tennessee, if y'all followed me for any period of time, you knew that I was a fan of the pick, was that he fused a lot of Mike Williams' game with Keenan's. And so he was kind of sort of positioned to be the perfect type of player to take over in the event that one of those guys went down. Was he or is he a better route runner than Keenan Allen is today? I think with regard to what you're seeing right now, you can make an argument that he's on his way there. Is he the 50-50 contested catch guy that Mike Williams is overall? Well, you've seen some of these wild one-handed stabs that he's pulling out of the air in camp. And I mean, get it, it's training camp, but you got to start somewhere, right? I'm not saying that he's either guy or better than either guy in what they do best. What I am saying, though, is that he's gaining ground in certain ways, and you got to pay attention to that. So I think he'll have a much bigger role on the offense than what a lot of people think. And this could be, I mean, maybe not necessarily from a catch perspective, because I doubt, he'll have 70+ receptions again this year. But I mean, if we're talking about somebody in like the 50s, high 40s, and he ends up having near the same type of production yardage wise, or talking about a 600 to 700 yard wide receiver with a few touchdowns, in the mix of playing with all of these other weapons outside of him, that's saying a lot. But I think that Josh Palmer is going to become more of a household name after this season, and certain people are going to have to pay attention and recognize that this isn't just some out of the blue situation. The guy's on the come up, and I think this season he'll get his just due, even in what may seem like more of a reduced role because he won't be the number one option. But still, I think he's going to have opportunities to shine amongst all those other weapons, and he'll have plenty of chances to make big plays, and I think he'll do just that. One thing you'll never have to worry about with me is that I will always have the courage of my convictions. I think it's what the kids now refer to as, sorry, this is number 2, by the way, standing on business. This is mostly in reference to Chargers fans out there who went on Twitter or X or whatever the hell Elon is calling it this week and could not wait to grandstand behind every catch that Quentin Johnston made in camp thus far. And they wanted to pretend as if people didn't spend months of their lives scouting, doing research, looking back at old tape, watching the entirety of his college career to come to the conclusion that they did about the issue with his hands. But you know what social media is about. You know, who can, make the funniest joke, get in front of a narrative first and claim that they were the guy who, everybody should praise for it, or gal. But really and truly, this isn't a knock on Quentin Johnston at all. It's more about you folks that I'm referencing right now. And this isn't for everybody, because not everybody was on this train. A lot of you guys out there get it, but then, some people out there need a little bit of a reality check. The fact of the matter is that the hands were an issue in college. And in the last few practices, that issue has kind of reemerged a bit. Now he's fought through it, made some catches after the fact, but a lot of the same issues that he had at TCU, catching balls when they're placed right on him, like he's running a slant, something where he needs to extend his hands out to catch a ball, has a tendency to either be late with his hands, too late, or keep them too closely to his body to where they make contact with his pads and they bounce off. It's just something he needs to continually work on, and I'm sure that he will. He's probably making a conscious effort, but making catches in the offseason against air is one thing. Even doing it when you have someone defending you without pads is another. But when the lights come on and there's contact and you have to worry about someone decapitating you after you catch the ball, or in some cases even if you don't, it hits a little different. No pun intended. What I'm saying to you folks is like, ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're going to say something crazy, stand on it. Don't go disappearing, because I pay attention and I keep receipts, by the way. Y'all know I'm petty as hell. So if I see you doing all the clout chasey stuff on X, I guess, I might come at you. I mean, there's a chance I might. Again, petty ruckspin. It's what I do. Can't really help it. Just take a break, relax. Give the guy an opportunity to develop, and I'm sure he'll work his way through it, and none of this will matter in the future. But for right now, if you're not going to keep it real, at least keep it realistic. Try that. There's really nothing like genuine competition in training camp. I love it, actually. That leads me into number 3, which I'm going to call That's My Spot, Punk. All y'all out there familiar with the movie Friday, you get the reference. Rest in peace, Tiny Lister. But yeah, Asante Samuel Jr. battling it out with Jasir Taylor for the star role in the slot. Well, is it that much of a battle at this point? Because ASJ's been stepping up. Similarly to Palmer's, like every practice, big plays happening, or multiple plays. I mean, will he give some up? Yeah, and a lot of that has to do with size, but we're talking from a skill perspective and understanding how to play the ball in the air. The kid's always had that ability. The knock has been the diminutive size and how it affects him in run support. After Zant had those couple of unfortunate issues with concussions, it seemed like he wasn't nearly as aggressive as a tackler against the run. But something's changed. And I think it might have a little to do with, coming into camp and them rolling Taylor out there in front of him first. If you want my honest opinion about it, I don't necessarily think that even him, quote unquote, winning the spot means a whole lot, because I'm not convinced that it won't be based upon whoever the opposition is that week. Let's say they're playing the Tennessee Titans, which they are. I don't know if you want 5'10", 185-ish pounds in the slot attempting to bring down Derrick Henry. I mean, they might, but probably works out a little bit better if you have a bigger body there. And it may not necessarily even be Jasir Taylor, but I mean, in the event that it is, you would understand why. You're playing, let's say, the KC Chiefs, and then you probably do want Zonton there. Makes a little bit more sense. They're going to be more pass happy. And you want your best guys in coverage out there. So either or. But, regardless as to how this turns out, I like the effort, the passion, enthusiasm ASJ has been showing in camp. And I just want to see it continue into a successful season. And look, do what you got to do to get the right personnel on the field. Mix and match. He's going to get his snaps. And honestly, we're just keeping it a buck here. I'm not thoroughly convinced that J.C. Jackson is going to be 100% week 1. I hope I'm wrong. But if he isn't, then Zont probably slots into the outside corner role, or maybe they slow play JC back in and kind of limit his snaps for a month or so, and then he takes over full time. But either way, Zont's going to see the field. He's going to play starter snaps one way or the other. Now, of all of the stuff that's come out of camp, the thing that's tickled me the most has been the fact that guys have just stopped keeping their mouth shut about what a nuisance Joe Lombardi was. And most recently, Mr. Slayer, Keenan Allen, had some choice words. Basically talked about being pigeonholed into the slot in offense. And without saying this exactly, it spoke to Lombardi's lack of offensive creativity. I mean, kicking him in his back while he's down. I mean, he's not necessarily down. Dude got a gig in Denver with Sean Payton. We'll see how that turns out. But I mean, now that he's out of the door, yeah, just let him have it. Why not? Why hold your tongue? He sucked. Everyone knows it, and now we can all just admit it. You don't have to spare his feelings. You don't have to worry about any internal strife within the team that you may create. Get it off, man. I'm sure they all hated him. And, truth be told, Herbert probably did too. But, it's all's well that ends poorly or otherwise. But anyway, I'm all for it. Slander him as much as you want. Keep it coming. It's just additional entertainment until we get to live games. So you won't see me asking for anyone to let up off of the gas. Kick his back all the way in. I'd appreciate it. I was rambling so much so that I forgot to give you guys the title to number 4, or even tell you that it was number 4. But I mean, if you're watching this, then you'll see it in the post edits. But anywho, number 5, and to top off this episode of IG50I, you complete me. My ode to football. No, seriously, I considered doing some spoken word here, but y'all don't have time for that. But back to ball, man. You guys are probably just as excited as I am, because we got action. Chargers take on the Rams on Saturday, and there are a couple things that I'll touch on here that I'm looking forward to seeing. And if you guys watched, then you should have the preview of Saturday's game that Jamie and I discussed. Well, when you're watching this, 2 days ago, I may have mentioned a few of these things, but ultimately just what I really, really want to see. And all eyes, for the most part, for me, will be on Mr. Isaiah Spiller. I want to see how they utilize him in the run game. I want to see what sort of running scheme they're implementing mostly. And I think in a game where he's going to be running behind backup offensive linemen, it gives him more of an opportunity to shine over, let's say, a Joshua Kelly, because Spiller is the more natural runner. Better vision, better foot quickness. He can create for himself and just has overall better spatial awareness, where Kelly just kind of has to see a hole and get upfield. That's his thing. If someone kind of breaks into the backfield, he doesn't really possess that type of wiggle or creativity to make a guy miss. That's not his strong suit. But Spiller will get his opportunities running the ball, catching it out of the backfield. Curious to see just how much that offensive playbook is opened up, if they'll utilize two backs at the same time out of shotgun formations, maybe send a guy out of the backfield out wide and into a route, and how much run the QBs are going to get. I'm sure they'll get a bunch because they're runners more so than passers. And other than that, the lights are going to be shining the brightest on J.T. Woods. Time to show and prove, my man. Didn't really hear his name much in camp up until maybe the last few days where he made a couple plays, but now is when you will have your opportunity to show whether or not the Chargers made the right decision in taking a third-round flyer on you. He's got all the athleticism to play a single high role or a split safety role, maybe even a little bit of star, but he's going to have to show it. It's going to have to be put on film. And I just want to see some significant improvement as a tackler, because he, and I've mentioned this before, might be one of the worst tacklers I've seen in the open field. I mean, like ever. But I have confidence in this coaching staff as far as the defensive backs are concerned, because those guys seem to develop. I look at a guy like Michael Davis and how his career trajectory has been, and if there's a way to pull it out of him, then I think they will. Because if they don't, then everyone's concerns about that free safety position, which I'm sure haven't all been done away with. We like Alohi, but we know he has his limitations. But if Woods goes out there and he wets the bed in the preseason, and then you're banking everything on Alohi as your free safety, then yeah, it can get ugly in a hurry. But look, we have a positive outlook on this until otherwise. So Mr. Woods, Mr. Spiller, this guy is rooting for you, and I'm expecting big things during this preseason. Do you think? But yo, thank you guys for joining me here. As always, what you also need to do is tomorrow night after the game, circle back and jump into After Hours with Garrett and myself as we talk about all of the goings-ons from the game. And you know, the beautiful part about going live like right after the game is you get the real raw emotions, and then you get to armchair QB it like the next week. But I always love the feeling of talking Chargers immediately after a game, whether it's depressing or joyous, whatever. Just nice to get it all out. So tap in with us. Until the next time, I appreciate y'all. Catch you later this week and then next week. And also, might be some announcements coming soon that you should probably be aware of. I'm just giving you a heads up. Keep your eyes and ears open. Till the next one, gone.